This is Taylor Mason, and I'm here today with Representative Rick Krajewski. This is an ongoing oral history project on the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus and its impact on members and staff. Thank you so much for doing this today.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got to the House of Representatives.
Sure. So my name is State Rep Rick Krajewski. I represent the 188th District in West and Southwest Philadelphia, which is a very culturally significant and historic Black community in Philadelphia. And before I was a state representative, I was a community organizer, specifically focusing on ending mass incarceration in the city. And that was an issue that was very important for me as a young Black man who has family members who've been impacted by the criminal justice system, and seeing how that connected to the issues of systemic poverty, structural racism, and education inequality. I decided to do that as my career, and after a while realized that Harrisburg was responsible for many of the policy decisions that impacted all those problems, and so put my hat in the ring to run for state rep in 2020, and was grateful and lucky enough to win.
Okay. So you've been here for almost 2 full years now.
Yep.
So what's it been like being a person of color in the House? Has it been a positive experience? Has there been any issues related to that? Anything you'd like to elaborate on the topic?
Yeah, I would say all of the above.
Okay.
I think coming here, from my background and growing up poor, there was definitely like a moment in the beginning of being like, whoa, like I have an office, I have a nice couch, I have a nice chair.
Yeah.
I have like a legislative aide that like does stuff for me. So I think there was definitely this adjustment to like having all these resources that were things that I was not like familiar with or comfortable with. Which I think just for particularly for like a lot of low income working class Black folks, like we're not used to being in spaces like this. So for me, there was an adjustment to being like, oh, like I belong here, I should be here. It's important for more people like me to be here. And that still continues to be a struggle because, obviously we are in a majority white state and we have like a super majority white legislature. And it's also like a lot of older folks too. It's like a lot of older white men that are in office. And so with that, there are definitely times where you can feel alienated or feel like you're not part of the like dominant culture. Also being, in the minority party, right? Being a minority in the minority party. But I am very grateful, right, that there are other Black legislators, whether it's other freshmen or other, recently elected members, or even some more senior members, like the chair of the Black Caucus, chair of the Philly delegation, and the folks in leadership, who have been very welcoming to me as a person of color, that have created spaces for legislators of color to be able to like talk and connect and share, right, like their vision, their challenges. So being able to have those kind of spaces, even in the face of all of these kind of like structural realities, has been good and has been a good source of support.
Okay. So the 188th is your district, which you mentioned. What makes your district unique? If you just want to talk about, anything particular in your district, any fun sites to go see, the people, what the makeup is of your district.
Yeah, so like I said, right, it's a very, to me, the 188th and like West Philly and Southwest in particular is a very special district to represent because of its history. We have a strong history of like Black political leadership and Black folks who decided to organize their communities to fight for political power in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, even moving on to this modern day. So it feels cool to be part of that kind of cultural lineage of just like trying to do better and organize our communities to fight for better. But also, right, there's a lot of cultural, just a lot of great things about the community. There's a lot of music in this culture. We have weekly jazz festivals at multiple of our parks actually during the summer. A lot of bands is playing outside during the summer and other parts of the year. We have a lot of different spaces when it comes to crafts or like food. Everyone kind of has like a hustle in West Philly. There's a lot of different communities. We have a lot of activism, both political activism and community activism. And we just have a lot of diversity. We have a lot of Black folks. We have a lot of immigrants. We have a lot of young people. We're a very strong LGBTQ population, a very strong Jewish population. And we have people in all kinds of economic backgrounds, from poor to working class, middle class, and a lot of folks are in the professional class because of all the universities that are in the district. So there's just a lot going on. It kind of feels like there's like multiple districts within the district itself.
Yeah. Yes.
And sometimes those districts get along, sometimes they don't. But it's been an honor to kind of have the ability to kind of zoom out and see how everyone's interacting with each other and how to just have them be more in relationship. So.
Okay. So your predecessor was here for a very long time.
Yes. 35 years.
Yes. Did he play a mentor role for you? Did you work together on the transition?
No.
No? Okay. Anyone else in your district prior to your predecessor, or anyone else maybe outside your district play a mentor role for you?
I think that a lot of members have played mentorship roles for me since being in office. I think given that my predecessor, Representative Roebuck, was someone who was here for a long time, and was a very respected member because of a lot of work that he did for public education and just being an elder statesman. I think there are people who are in a difficult position in terms of mentoring and transition. But once the primary is over, I think a lot of members, were helpful and gave me a lot of support and guidance on how to make that transition. I'm fortunate to be able to work with city council members who I feel very aligned with. My council member Gaudier, is someone that I have a very close working relationship with, and so it's been really awesome to collaborate with her on things. So I definitely feel like as a representative and as transitioning into this role, I've been able to build up a support circle of colleagues that can help me figure out this crazy job.
Yes. So particularly, that's a good segue then, probably into the Black Caucus itself then. So how have you been involved so far with the Black Caucus?
So I am pretty active. I am a co-chair of the subcommittee on voting and democracy with Representative Kenyatta. And in that role, we've done a couple of different events with the Black Caucus. We did an event around judicial gerrymandering, and we saw that bill starting to build up steam last year to try to gerrymander the state courts. We did basically a roundtable discussion, hearing an info session about it. We also held a policy hearing to talk about the wave of anti-democracy legislation we've seen happen, in states like Georgia and other states across the country that have been trying to make it harder for a lot of working class communities of color and immigrant communities to be able to vote. So we talked about what's been happening across the state and what that may look like in Pennsylvania. And so we've been able to do that, and also just generally trying to work with our constituents and also our colleagues to be up to date about what we can expect and should expect when it comes to fighting for voting rights and democracy in Philly.
Okay. So what are some things you hope the caucus will tackle in future sessions, either legislatively, socially, anything really that you think will hopefully make some change?
Question. I think I would definitely like to see us as a caucus figure out how we work on like a legislative platform.
Okay.
And what we do to create a platform that includes like bills, and I think we have done that in this session on some level, but like just continuing that work of having bills and legislation are a part of the Black Caucus platform that we like fight for and lobby for and like try to strategize around. I think doing something like that would be great. And yeah, I think also another piece for me, as someone who is a black legislator, but also identifies as like progressive or like left or socialist, I think sometimes those identities can feel at odds because of some of the dynamics around certain spaces, and I think it's something that I would like to figure out too, particularly considering there are some people who are progressive folks of color that are gonna come in next year.
Okay.
Just to think about how we create that intersection when it comes to both being black, but also identifying as part of like progressive movement or movements generally, and how do we represent that in the caucus as well.
Okay. And my last question then, and you're welcome to add after this, is how has your service with the Black Caucus impacted your overall House tenure so far?
I think it's definitely allowed me to feel part of a community, and to feel like I have not just colleagues, but like comrades and people that I feel like I can lean on, people that I feel close with, people that I can ask for support, that I can collaborate with, whether it's introducing legislation or talking about challenges we're dealing back with in the city, whether it's gun violence or local politics or whatever. So I think it's definitely allowed me to feel grounded in that. I think it's allowed me to feel grounded and more secure in my identity as a black legislator. Because I think I would have felt more isolated without something like the Black Caucus. So yeah, I think those are the two that really stand out to me. Feeling like there are people that I have been able to build relationships with, and then also feeling grounded in my identity as a black legislator.
Okay. That was my final question. Do you have anything else you'd like to add on the topic, or your House service, or it's very open-ended, so.
Is this about regarding the Black Caucus or just like
anything? Being a person of color in the House, diversity.
Yeah, well, I guess I am excited that we are diversifying the legislature, and I think that the recent efforts with redistricting are also creating more opportunities to do that. And my hope is that by making a more diverse legislature, we can create a platform and a vision that represents all the communities in Pennsylvania and in Philadelphia. So I'm just really excited about that, and I look forward to continuing to be a part of making it happen.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for I appreciate it. Those are good questions.